Hey, welcome back. It's Kristi Gibb. Today I'm here with Amanda Langeland of Ridgeline Realty in Roy, Utah, right?
That's right. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm excited to talk about Ridgeline Realty and veterans and what we have to offer.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into your story and share that with people.
Yes.
So, to start, what got you into real estate?
Well, it's kind of a crazy story. I was actually living in England before we PCS'ed or got transferred here to Utah. We were excited to buy a house. We were a new family and we had a little 1-year-old, and it was 2007. So it was a crazy time. Everyone knows what happened in 2008, but I'll just remind you all the prices were pretty high still in 2007. And we started looking around, and single family homes were out of our budget, and the ones that were in our budget were they needed some TLC, and being a military spouse, I could not take the risk of having to do maintenance or anything like that while, that was happening. We ended up buying a new construction townhome, which was perfect for us, perfect for our family. It was at the top of our price range, so we ended up using a Utah Housing Corp finance loan, which I'm sure you could go into the different options of what first-time homebuyers could use. But at that time, it just covered 100% finance the mortgage, which was helpful. But then, as you know, what happened, the whole market bottom fell out 2008, and we found ourselves underwater, which just means we owed more than the house was worth at the time. So that was a tough place, a scary place to be in as being in the military, because you could be moved at any time. We were there for about 3 years or so, kind of underwater, until we used a program called EARL, which streamlined the loan. It was an easy process to refinance and get our interest rate lower, which was great. And we were able to get rid of our second mortgage and PMI, so our payment went way down, and we were able to not only get on a level playing field again, but build some equity that we could use down the line.
How long were you here in that home?
So in that house, we were there about 6 years, 7 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so quite a while. So we had time to work through all those payments. I mean, we worked our tail off to get those payments down because we were a young family. And once we did, our family grew, and it was time to move out. It was time to find something bigger. So we decided to move back on the base at Hill Air Force Base and save up some money. So we lived there for about a year, and we started looking for a larger home. So we found a short sale. I was not too aware of what that meant at the time, but we had a great realtor, and she helped us through the process and really inspired me to become a realtor. And just having those people there that were really there for you, to guide you and to show you what options you have, it inspired me. Kind of a long story, but yeah.
Well, so that's a really good point, though, is when somebody buys a home, that's not something that you do every day.
No, it's very scary.
Most people don't buy a home that often, but realtors and loan officers and title, we are in this every day, going through this with different clients. And so we're not experiencing it firsthand all the time, but we are experiencing it right alongside our clients. And so we are able to guide our buyers, and our sellers, in your case, just like your realtor was able to guide you through the process.
Absolutely.
So with a short sell, did that take an extra long time to?
It was on the market for quite a long time. So I think we got in at a good time to put in an offer, but we managed to use a VA loan, which it can have its challenges, as you probably know. I had to pass a little bit more of an inspection with safety and things like that. But our realtor and our lender, they were both fantastic, and they worked around all those issues, and they just got it done.
Yeah.
So using a VA loan for a short sale is probably a little bit of a scary thing if you don't know what you're doing, but it can be done. It was done.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's funny because you mentioned that your first home was a new build. Our first home was a new build.
Really?
My husband got out of the service. We were in Washington, and we were living in an apartment, and I had like we moved there 6 weeks before I gave birth to our third child. My husband was like, "Oh, we can buy our own home." And I was like, "How? We don't have down payment, but the VA loan is zero down."
Yes.
So we were able to buy a home, and then the builder covered our closing costs. I wonder if because of the time and the market that you were in, maybe they had to roll your closing maybe into somehow, and that's why they were.
And that's the thing. I wish I would have had somebody that was there to tell me what the best options were, because I didn't even think about using a VA loan. So hopefully that was the right choice at that time, but
You can't go back.
you can't go back. You can't go back. And I'm still glad that we did go through that because it gave me such good knowledge of the market and of financing and, how to go from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it really got me interested in helping first-time home buyers and showing other people the way.
It helps when, you have that hands-on experience, and so it helps your buyers to
Absolutely.
rely on someone who really knows what you're doing, what they're going through. Did you always see yourself working in real estate, or was there a moment that you were like, this is what I want?
This was it.
Was it the short sell, or?
That was always in me. I actually worked for the government. I worked at the housing management office on the base.
Oh, really?
So I got to see the government side of it, and I was just always interested in housing. It's always been something I was passionate about. So you can help while you're in the government on the base. You could help people get into base housing and find off-base housing.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really my dream to help people and be a realtor. So that's why I pursued that.
Awesome. So earlier in our conversation, we were talking about, before this recording, we were talking about the process of moving. When you're PCSing, when you get a permanent change of station, you have to go from one station to another, or when you're separating from the military, the service member has to go to all these different departments and get signatures and go through this whole out processing process. It's huge. And then you as a spouse, you're packing up, you're trying to organize stuff.
Right.
And to throw on top of that, trying to figure out where to get a loan, how to find a home, what is the area want to be like. You're supposed to have a sponsor, but not all sponsors are created
the same.
equal.
No.
Yep. Yeah. And so it really helps to have a real estate agent that has been in those shoes, and been.
Well, you're absolutely right. Coming from a different country and coming here, I had no idea what the market was like. I just assumed it's, going to be easy. We'll go there, we'll find a house, we'll buy a house. We had no idea what was going to happen in 2008. We just, we went in kind of blind. And to have somebody that knows the market, that knows the processes, that knows the grants, the loans, all these things, and do it all the time would have been paramount for us at the time. And you're right, you have all these things. You have your children, you have packing up the house, you have TMO, you have all your worries and concerns. That's when you just think, oh, it'll figure itself out. But you do need the people, you need the support. So
yeah. And we were talking about like how you love helping first-time home buyers to get into a home. And I feel that too. It is so exciting to help someone through those hurdles and everything, and kind of be a guide to make the process smoother.
Yes.
And have it be more of an exciting time for them than a stressful time buying their first home or getting into their new home. Because like we all know that if you're paying rent, you're just paying into someone else's investment. But when you buy your own home, we still need to pay to live somewhere, right? Why not be paying into your own investment?
Absolutely.
Your own equity.
Absolutely.
So, what inspired that focus of helping veterans in your business?
Being a military spouse and seeing firsthand the hardships and the different experiences that you have. They're known to people, but they're not felt by everyone. They're not lived through and felt. And I feel like I see what goes on, and I've seen it and I've lived it. And I just am passionate about helping military.
Yeah. I feel that too. My husband wasn't in the service for very long, and he wasn't deployed, so I didn't go through that. But I have a lot of friends who I've watched their stories, and family members too, where their spouses have been deployed, on the non-accompanied tours.
Okay.
And they've had to stay at home with their kids, and it's just the struggle that families have, the sacrifice. And so, like every Friday, we were read to remember those deployed. But I, in that same time, remember the families, because I feel like when thanking a service member or whatever, I'm also grateful for their family that support them, because without the family, how can they keep their task on the mission, their mind on the mission,
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, they definitely have special conditions, and housing is a big part of that. You have to be, you have to have a home that will be maintained. If you're not renting, you're responsible for that maintenance. And those are things you have to think about before you make those choices. So, yeah. Knowing that whole process and how it works it's important.
Many veterans face unique challenges when buying a home. What are some of the hurdles that you've seen and helped your clients overcome?
So there are some misconceptions. Some people tend to think that a VA offer is not a strong offer, or that you have to be in for a certain amount of years that they didn't qualify for, or I'm sure you could touch more on some of those issues.
Yeah. So we hear all the time these objections to accepting a VA offer. And so I'll frequently educate the listing agent, and I'll help buyers know too. I do a VA home buyer class for people, but let them know that VA buyers statistically are as strong of buyers as conventional buyers, but they're even better poised because they have the VA loan, which is zero down. Zero down, a lot of people associate with the down payment assistance program, which typically is for people who don't have the money. But VA homebuyers generally statistically have about 20,000 in assets and liquid assets saved up. Obviously, not all do because that's average across the board. But I found that VA buyers, they do generally have better credit scores. The interest rates are better for VA loans than for conventional, and they don't have to put a down payment. And so that leaves more wiggle room for them with closing costs and so on if they do have those assets set aside.
Absolutely.
Oh, you mentioned like how long do you need to serve? Some people get caught up on that. If you're active duty, then we need 90 days of active duty service. And then as long as you've been in at least 2 years and fulfilled that part of your contract. If you do have medical discharge, then there can be exceptions for that.
Okay.
And for people who are National Guard or reserves, we need 6 creditable years of service. So each year that they serve, each year that they're on the list for National Guard and reserves, they get 15 points automatically. And then when they show up for drill, they get 1 more point. So we need at least 16 points per year, but they'll get more than that, if they show up for drill and so on. But if they are deployed on Title 10 orders or even in National Guard, if they're deployed on Chapter 32 orders, which is like for 30 days consecutively, they can add that to other service times for a cumulative 90-day. If they're deployed on Title 10, like for the reserves, if they're deployed on Title 10, it's not for training. It has to be downrange, but for 90 consecutive days, that is active duty. And then they are eligible before that 6-year time period.
Okay.
So that's one way is you could ask for assignments or whatever, get deployed.
Yeah.
And have that, but it's not for training. It's for actual service in the field. There's the way that we determine eligibility is to get that certificate of eligibility.
Okay.
And so I can quickly look that up for someone in the VA portal. And if it doesn't automatically populate, which most of them do, then we'll just get the documents that we need to submit to show that the veteran or the service member does qualify for the VA loan.
Okay. So it's good to get the conversation started before you even find the house. It's good to know what your options are. It's good to get with 2 people that you trust, a realtor that you trust, a loan officer that you trust, and see what you can do. See what's going to work for you. So that's the main objective.
Yeah. Yep. But we're working together. You have a strong team with people. Like for me at UMortgage, we have a really strong veteran advocacy team here of loan officers and education and so on. So I'm always diving into that and striving to help our veterans and military members get the best loan possible and have the best process.
You guys are awesome.
So yeah. Anyway, I'm super excited to work with you
and
help you. If you guys have questions, if you want to reach out to Amanda at Ridgeline Realty, and how can they best find out how to reach you?
You can go to my website. It's www.langelandrealestate.com or call or text 801-678-5516. So thank you so much for having me here. This has been fun.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it.